What's up guys, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be continuing our Burning Shadows coverage with another deck profile in the post-rotation format, and that is going to be Tapu Koko GX. Now, as I've said before, we have kind of shifted over to a post-rotation format, so we've kind of moved away from the Primal Clash On standard format onto the Breakthrough On, so expect a lot of brand new decks to be emerging in the next few weeks or so, a lot of decks featuring the Burning Shadows cards, and we're going to be trying to cover as many as we can as possible. So if there are any decks you want to see, let me know, but we are going to be covering Tapu Koko GX today, so I'll go ahead and break it down for you guys. Now, if you're not really familiar with Tapu Koko GX, it does have a lot of good things going for it. It has that ability called Arrow Trail, and basically you put it down and you can move as many lightning energy to it, and then you can switch it into the active. So really good if you have a damaged Tapu Koko and you just want to move the energy from it and maybe heal or retreat it out or something. That's really good. Its attack is only doing 130 damage, so it's kind of awkward. If you had a Choice Band and maybe Professor Kukui out, you'd be hitting that magic 180. But since it's a really bulky Pokemon, since it has Fighting Fury Belt and the Ether Paradise Stadium we can use, I think the better route is to more or less be denying your opponent and disrupting them. So they're really struggling to actually knock you out while you're putting that consistent damage on the board and 2-hit knocking them out. And then finally, it does have a really good GX attack. For 2 energy, it does 50 times the number of energy on your opponent's board. So that's really, really good. If your opponent has 5 energy on the board, for example, it's going to be doing 250 damage. So that is going to be really the go-to attack against something like Darkrai GX or Gardevoir GX, anything that's going to pile a bunch of energy on the board, even Volcanion EX, for example. So that is going to be our main attacker, and the strategy is pretty simple. You know, basically we're going to hit with Tapu Koko. If they damage me, then I'm going to bring down another Tapu Koko and use that ability, so that way I have a fresh Tapu Koko pretty much every turn. And as you can see, we have a lot of cards that are going to let you switch out and scoop up the damaged Tapu Koko and heal it off, like Acerola, Super Scoop Up, Max Potion. So a lot of great ways to make sure that we're always getting that damage on and making sure that we're not getting knocked out. Now, we're also playing 3 Tapu Lele. I think this is going to be pretty standard moving forward. Previously, it was 2 in the current standard format, but I think 3 is going to be kind of like the go-to choice looking forward because in general, I think you're playing thicker supporter counts. We're playing, no more Versus Seeker or Trainer's Mail or things like that. So Tapu Lele is a great card to have just to get those supporters out. And we're also playing 2 copies of Jolteon. So I was really struggling to find a secondary type of attacker. I was looking at the baby Tapu Koko originally, the one that has free retreat and can spread 20 damage around. But honestly, I don't think it's a great choice in this deck simply because any energy I have, I'm trying to devote onto the Tapu Koko GX. The regular Tapu Koko only has 110 HP, I think, or 120 HP, something like that, but it's really low HP. If it gets knocked out, then 2 or 3 energy are pretty much gone, so I don't really like that route. And then another route I also considered was Raikou, and Raikou might be decent, hard to say for sure, the one from Breakthrough, but I'm not really a fan of it because it requires 3 energy. If it gets knocked out, there goes a lot of energy. So if you are considering a secondary attacker, maybe 1 copy of Raikou, maybe you could swap out a Jolteon. In the future, there's actually going to be another Raikou out that I think pairs really well with this deck. I think for 1 energy, it puts a lightning energy from the discard on the board. So I think that is a lot more synergy, but that won't be out into the 4th Sun and Moon set. So we won't be seeing that until probably around November or December or so. So until then, I think just kind of like a straight line of Tapu Koko with a Jolteon tech to cover things like Darkrai and Volcanion is probably a good way to go. And then lastly, concluding our Pokemon, we are playing a Giratina promo. Now, this is strictly for the Greninja matchup. I don't really think there are any other breaks really being played right now. I guess the Roark break might be something as well, since it would gain that stand-in ability. So, I mean, that might be something to consider in certain matchups. But I think in general, this is just a really hard Greninja counter. I encountered this at Nationals, or North American International Championships, I should say, and it pretty much single-handedly crushed my Greninja deck. I had a perfect setup, really good matchup, but a Giratina came down and it pretty much lost me the game. So Giratina is going to be a really hard counter to Greninja, and I think going forward, Greninja is still a very strong deck, so I would recommend playing it. Now, as far as our supporters go, as you can see, we're playing a really, really thick line of supporters here. I think we're playing like 16 supporters. So we have the standard 4 Professor Sycamore and 4 N. That's just to make sure we're drawing cards throughout the game in N is especially good early game, a little more than late game. Ending yourself down to 1 or 2 cards isn't all that great, but the early game it's really good when we have Tapu Kokos that we don't really want to discard. We're also playing 3 Guzma. That is a way to bring out our opponent's Pokemon. So if we do 130 damage to something, they decide, oh, I'm going to switch out. We can use Guzma and bring it back up. And of course, you have to switch out a Pokemon as well. So you can always bring up Jolteon since it has free retreat. So a little bit of synergy there. We're also going to be playing 3 Acerola. Again, this is going with the main strategy of the deck. We want to heal off our Pokemon. Anything that's damaged, scoop it off the board. Then we can lay down Tapu Koko again to activate that awesome ability. So I think 3 Acerola is a solid play in here. And then finally 2 Skyla, because as you can see, we're playing a lot of trainer cards, and a lot of these cards are really, really relevant to the strategy of the deck. So if we can't draw into them, we can always Tapu Lele them and Wonder Tag and get Skyla and search it out. So for example, if we need that last energy, we have a bunch of energy in the deck, we can get Max Elixir. If we are going to be attacking, maybe you're short on damage, you can get Fighting Fury Belt, or maybe you just need to heal something off the bench so we get Max Potion. So it works really, really well. Now our stadium of choice is going to be the Ether Paradise Conservation Area, and I think it's a really strong play assuming that you're playing Fighting Fury Belt in the deck. So Tapu Koko already has 170 HP, which is not bad. Fighting Fury Belt makes it 210, and Ether Paradise is reducing it by 30 damage. So effectively you're having 240 HP, and it's really, really tough to knock out something that has 240 HP. I think the only Pokemon that really can do that consistently is going to be Gardevoir, but even then, if I have 3 energy, Gardevoir is going to need a lot of energy. I think it needs like 5 energy or 4 energy in a choice band, so not really, really reliable to have 4 or 5 energy every single turn on this Gardevoir. So I think in general, Ether Paradise is a very solid play, especially combined with healing cards and Super Scoop Up. As far as our item cards go, we're playing really consistent lines here. We're playing our 4 Ultra Ball, the 4 Max Elixir, just making sure we get energy on the board early on. 4 Super Scoop Up, it is getting reprinted in Burning Shadows, and that's going to be big. You know, we probably haven't even thought about the possibilities of this card. Decidueye isn't quite as good now because Forest is rotated and actually banned and expanded, but who knows, you know, we may see a lot of strategies emerge using Super Scoop Up. I think it's a fantastic card. We're also playing 3 Fighting Fury Belt. Again, this is the strategy of the deck. The extra 10 damage is kind of irrelevant, doesn't really matter to us, but that extra 40 HP is huge because that means we're going to be able to survive a number of attacks. We're also going to be playing 2 Fill Blower because it's become pretty standard at this point, just in case we run into any Garbotox and Garbodor decks that will give us a nice hard counter to those, and any stadiums as well, so that way we're not affected by those. So I think Fill Blower is a pretty strong card. It's a staple in pretty much every deck going forward. And then lastly, for our 1-of cards, we're playing Super Rod, Rescue Stretcher, and Max Potion. So I did a split between Super Rod and Rescue Stretcher. I'm actually loving Rescue Stretcher more and more the more I play it, but I think in this kind of deck, since we're only playing 11 energy here, I think Super Rod is good because it's going to let us recycle those energy in the event that we get a really bad hand or something gets knocked out. And the Max Potion, like I said, you can always Skyla it out. It would have been nice to play maybe another Max Potion or so, but I think we have so many ways to already disrupt and heal our Pokemon. We have Super Scoop Up, we have Acerola, we can kind of use Tapu Koko's ability, so I think 1 Max Potion does the job just fine. And as I said, we're playing 11 Lightning Energy. Would have liked to have seen a 12th Energy just because we're playing Max Elixir. 12 to 13 Energy seems to be the norm, but keep in mind we only need 3 or 4 Energy on the board to get started. Once we have 3 Energy on the board, we can keep spreading those Tapu Kokos and using those attacks. So I think 11 Energy does the job just fine. Just remember to make sure to always thin your deck out as much as you can before using Max Elixir. That is going to maximize your chances of getting that energy. But that is going to wrap up the list, guys. I think overall it's very disruptive. It's really annoying to play against. We're going to have a deck battle video in the next day or two between this deck and Metagross GX, and they're both going to be post-rotation, so I'm really excited about that. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about the deck. Are there any changes you would make? Do you think it's going to be a competitive deck going forward, or do you think Super Scoop Up and Acerola are just kind of hype cards because they're really situational, require coin flips? Or do you think this deck's going to be really good? And do you think this deck is going to perform well at the World Championships as well? It could be a sleeper deck. The big 3 seem to be like Gardevoir and Greninja and Volcanion, maybe even Metagross, but I think Tapu Koko definitely has a lot of potential just because it is a very disruptive and consistent consistent deck. And finally, be sure to like this video and subscribe, guys. You guys have been amazing. We are at over 2,500 subscribers, so we have met the summer goal. I'm really excited about that, and I'm trying really hard to push out videos every day or every other day. So my goal is to hit 3,000 by the end of the month, so if you could subscribe, if you like the content, I would greatly appreciate it. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and as usual, I'll catch you guys in the next video.